One time. What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're playing some new blinds, $1.5, $3, just switching it up a little bit. This video has a lot more hand analysis and it's more in depth. Please let me know if you like it down in the comments below. And yeah, remember to subscribe. Let's get into it. On to the first hand of the video, we pick up ace queen of clubs in the cutoff and we're playing six-handed today. Under the gun limps, and with one limper, you typically want to raise 5 times the big blind when opening, so 15 in this case. But I remember not noticing that the under the gun player had limped, so we only opened to $9 on this occasion. It folds around to the big blind who makes the call, and so does the under the gun player, so we're 3 ways to the flop. 4-4 ace 2 diamonds is dealt as the flop, pretty good all things considered. However, I need to be pretty careful of one of my opponents having a 4, as it's something that's very much in their loose ranges. I'm in position on them, and they both check to me, so this is a spot where I'm betting a high frequency at the time, with it quite unlikely that my opponents have hit a piece of this board as well as the texture, definitely suiting my range. For this reason, I sized down to $13.5, hoping to get called by some smaller pocket pairs, sudden draws, smaller ace pairs, and maybe even some sticky king highs. The big blind folds, and the under the gun player quickly makes the call. The turn comes the king of hearts, really good card for us, no draws get there, and some of those sticky king highs may have made a pair now. Once again, the under the gun player checks, and I decide to size up quite a bit now. It's pretty ambitious to go for 3 streets of value with this hand, so I wouldn't actually mind an overbet here to maybe 1.5x pot to get max value if I'm only deciding to bet 2 streets. The other route I could go for is another small bet which would keep draws in the pot. I decided on a bet of $45, as I said just now. I'd probably like a bit larger sizing or a bit smaller, but it's not the end of the world. Our opponent tanks for a little while before making the call. The river comes the 9 of spades, a complete blank, no draws complete, and unless he has a 4 we should be good here. But what happens next is pretty strange. Our opponent leads out for $70.5. I'm really confused at this point because I just don't know what holding takes this line. It looks pretty strong to me actually, maybe a 4 or ace 9 offsuit. Those are the only holdings that make somewhat sense to me that he could have flattered my open with pre-flop, that beat my hand now and carry out this exact line. I tank for a long while after this bet, and I really consider folding. The line just looks really strong, especially because it's less than a half pot bet on the river, which is just tiny and screams value. After a couple of minutes, I throw in chips for a call, and somehow we're good. Our opponent flips over Jack 7 of diamonds. The excitement of this is too much for a player at the table who decides to turn into a dying chicken.
I can't believe you didn't snap me off.
He should probably go get that checked out, but yeah, we take this pot down. On to the next hand, we pick up king queen offsuit in the cutoff. The under the gun player opens to $9. Since we're 5-handed and I know the under the gun player can be opening extremely wide, which would not be the case in a more traditional poker game, I called 3-bet to $30, which may look extremely strong to some of you, but won't get anywhere near that amount of respect at this table. As if my thoughts are being spoken out loud, the big blind 4-bets to $60, small sizing but still. In a regular game, this would be kings or aces the majority of the time, maybe some ace king and maybe some queens, but that would be it. Under the gun now tanks, so obviously he has some sort of holding, and after a while he folds. I'm trying to differentiate my thought process between this game and a casino game. In a casino game against a more standard opponent, this is actually the perfect hand to 5-bet shove as a bluff. We block kings and queens, as well as ace king, and these are just all the hands he can really call with. Let's just say hypothetically this action so far was in a casino. If I 5-bet shove, realistically I'm saying I have aces given how strong the big blind's 4-bet range is here. I genuinely believe against some top pros, they could fold kings here if I shoved, because what else would I be representing? If the majority of the big blind's range is aces and kings, I couldn't even 5-bet kings for value as that would be seen as too thin. So the only thing I could have that would not be betting too thin for value would be aces, in which kings could find a fold under a really good player in my opinion. Going back to real life and the table I'm at, our opponent has around $136 in his stack. He's pretty inexperienced and it's really hard to give him a range. He could do this action with only aces kings, ace king, or he could do this with any pair, some random hands like king 9 suited, just anything, so I don't really know. If I shove, I know I'm getting called by whatever hand he has, that's for certain, even if it's 4 or 5 suited. He's just that kind of player, so shoving is out of the question. Against any other player at the table, I'd probably fold, but since the raise is only 2x, and I'm confident playing post-flop against our opponent, I make a very loose call. The flop comes deuce queen 5 monotone, all diamonds. As I said before, we can't analyze these spots in a usual way given our opponent, so we just have to try and get to showdown I guess with our hand, with it likely being the winner right now. Our opponent checks, which I really doubt he'd do with an overpair or top pair, so I bet $75, hoping to pot commit him. He makes the call and we're off to a turn. It comes the 3 of diamonds, terrible card for us, absolutely terrible. It's so easy for him to have a diamond now with any pocket pair or ace king, assuming that he didn't have us beat on the flop already. He checks and I check back pretty quickly, easy decision. Before the river is even shown, our opponent blind shoves for $55.5, which is really weird and there's no way I can be good here, right? The river actually comes the 2 of hearts, a complete blank, and I'm put into a tough spot. I must stress that this player is extremely unorthodox, so if I'm playing this hand in a weird way, that's why. Just because the odds are so good, I throw in calling chips and yeah, somehow we're good. Our opponent has ace king, so I do take a mental note that he 4-bet with a 4-bet worthy hand, which will come important later, and not something stupid like pocket 5s. We take a nice pot down. Onto a more simple one, we pick up ace king offsuit on the button and we encounter a dream spot. Pretty similar to last hand, actually just in a different order. The hijack opens to $9, the cutoff cold 3-bets to 30, and now we just have to cold 4-bet no matter how strong it looks. There's a small argument for trapping here, but I like a 4-bet a lot more, even though this should look extremely strong to my opponents, and to be honest, ace king is probably at the bottom of my range. The hijack folds, and pretty quickly the cutoff rips his whole stack for $415.5. I have him covered by just a little bit, and looking back, I probably should have been a bit wary, but once again this table is extremely loose, so at the time I snap this bet off, and we have a huge all-in pot here. Our opponent shows ace jack of diamonds, we have him absolutely dominated, let's hope for a clean run out. The flop comes 7-4-9 rainbow safe, the turn comes the 9 of diamonds, the river comes the queen of diamonds, and we've lost.
He's so bad, I told you, man. He's so bad. Why are you shoving? Why are you shoving?
It's a new player's turn to transform into a dying chicken. On the river, we get sucked out on by the nut flush, absolutely heartbreaking, we were so ahead. And yeah, we lose an $850 pot in the worst way possible. I rebuy for another 300 and I'm thrown right back into the action, picking up another premium. We have ace queen suited in the small blind, under the gun opens to 15, the cutoff calls. This is a mandatory 3-bet spot, I go to $75. The under the gun player makes the call and the cutoff makes the fold. The flop comes 3-3-9-2 diamonds. This is ballooned into quite a large pot given the original large open size to 5x the big blind. The flop is okay, obviously we have the overpair advantage, but our opponent probably has more 9x, so I'd say the flop is pretty equal to us both. Out of position, I can balance here between checking and betting, but against this specific opponent, I favor betting a small sizing, as I know if I give him the opportunity, he will bluff large amounts, in which I will be handcuffed into folding, when I probably have the best hand a lot of the time. I bet small to $45 and get quickly called by the under the gun. The turn comes the 4 of hearts. I tank for a while, determining what the best strategy is. I end up on a bet of $90, somewhat a blocker bet, just trying to get to showdown here, as I think we're good a big chunk of the time. Well, after not too long, our opponent shoves his stack in my face. He covers me and I have around $201 behind. At this point, I'm just really not believing him. Just the way he's acting, the way he played the hand, I just don't believe him at all. What value hands even play this way? Pocket 9s, maybe yeah. Pocket 3s, pocket 4s. Some sort of hand with a 3, although I find it hard to believe hands containing a 3 open under the gun, then call a 5x 3-bet with a player still behind to act. He can't really have an over a pair, as he would have 4-bet me pre-flop with a player to act behind, unless maybe 10s or jacks, but I think this player would favor a 4-bet with jacks and above especially. There's also 2 flush draws out there. I unblock both of them. It is very possible he could have a flush draw here and is bluffing. So without a lot of value hands I think he can feasibly have, coupled with the fact that I have a read on him that he's weak, I do end up making the call for $200 extra. Let me just make clear that this is a terrible call in most scenarios, as we just have ace high, and even if he had a 4 pair he'd be beating us here. But if you have a strong read on your opponent, it is possible to play exploitatively as I've done here. We run it once, it comes the 5 of spades, and our opponent sheepishly turns over 5-6 of hearts, meaning he rivers us to get a 5 pair. He did have an open-ended straight flush draw on the turn, so many outs. I thought at the time it would be closer to 35%, but actually when looking it up, our opponent actually had 48% equity, which is crazy if you think about it with only one card to come. It's actually because he has outs of a 2 and a 7 for a straight, any heart for a flush, and any 5 or 6 would be our ace high. So yeah, we were pretty much flipping after the all-in. We actually ran it another time for fun, and yeah, I still lost, so it wouldn't have changed anything. I'm happy I made the right exploitative call here, as it's a lot of chips to call an all-in with just ace high. But yeah, we didn't win the pot, we lose our second $800 plus pot of the night. We aren't running good today. After getting stacked the previous hand, time to reload for another 300. It has not been a good session, we are 3 binds deep. In the last hand of the night, we pick up pocket 10s in the hijack, under the gun opens to $9, I make a standard 3 bet to $30, and once again the big blind 4 bets to $60. This is identical action from a previous hand today with the exact same players. Last time the big blind had ace king here, so we may have to give him a more respect than we did last time. Under the gun folds, and if this was the last time, I probably would have just shoved this hand, thinking I was ahead a lot of the time or flipping. But now seeing that he actually did have a strong hand when he did this action last time, I just make the call, being more careful here. Heads up to a flop, it comes 4 queen 8 rainbow. Before I can even think, the big blind shoves his whole stack in there for $180, over betting the pot. To me, this is just a clear fold. If he is bluffing here, there are better hands I can call with, such as ace queen, which is definitely in my range. So no need to make the hero call, I let this one go, and we end the night on another losing hand.
I'm in the video!
Congratulations. Hope you enjoyed the video today, guys, and the more in-depth hand analysis. It was a dark hour for us, however. We were in for 3 bullets, $900, out for $318, meaning there was a total net negative of $582 today. Yeah, not one of our best sessions. It was actually our first big losing session on the vlog. I don't think we've lost more than a buy-in up to this stage. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how we played. We made the right decisions pretty much every single time. We didn't really make any mistakes. The cards just didn't want to go our way today. And yeah, that happens. We move on. Please remember to subscribe if you enjoyed. Peace.